Hi and welcome to Love Doing Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me this evening on this. What a change in the weather. Hope you stayed warm today and didn't get too wet. Today we're gonna do a bit of work on abs and core. And really your core is all about just giving support to your spine. And allowing space and support for your organs and being able to breathe freely through the different poses. So throughout the practice, as always, listen to your body. If anything doesn't feel right, stop, rest and wait and come back and join us when you're ready to do so. You can of course bring yourself to the edge, but don't push yourself over it. Take it easy, listen to your body, and above all, enjoy the practice. So let us start by lying down. And let's just take about 5 minutes to bring ourselves into the moment. Just giving ourselves permission to slow down. Letting go everything that's going on in your life and in the world at the moment. And find yourself a little oasis of peace and quiet and tranquility, where you have no roles, no responsibilities, nothing to do but spend the next hour connecting your mind with your body through your breath. And as we begin to turn inwards, let's just bring our attention to our breath. As we breathe in through your nose, into your belly, and out through your nose. Just allowing the belly to fill up on that inhale and to contract on the exhale. And keeping that attention on the breath, let's just begin to tune into our core area. Maybe put your hands onto your belly, just below the belly button, and perhaps just above it too. So you've got a hand on either side of the belly button. And just notice as you breathe how your hands move up and down on the inhale and the exhale. And let's try to deepen the breath a little bit. As we exhale, just making that gentle oceanic sound. In that Ujjayi breath, that victorious breath. So sometimes it helps to imagine like you have a little hole at the base of your throat and you're breathing in and out through that. And on your next exhale, just think about lifting the pelvic floor momentarily during that exhale. Notice what that does to your belly, to your core as you exhale. Let's take 2 more breaths like that, just gently lifting that pelvic floor on the exhale and noticing the core just beginning to engage. And on the next exhale, as well as lifting your pelvic floor, think about drawing your belly button in and up slightly. Again, just noticing with your hands how that begins to bring engagement into the core with the breath, just becoming aware of lifting that pelvic floor, bringing that belly button in and up. And on the next exhale, think about combining that with also just drawing the waist inwards a little bit, just the two sides in towards the center. So you're lifting your pelvic floor, bringing that belly button in and up, and just drawing the sides in slightly. Again, just noticing how that feels, how you begin to feel that engagement in your core muscles. And throughout the practice today and the poses, we're going to use that breath, so combining all of those moves into each exhale. And let's just draw our right leg up and holding on to the shin. Let's hold it in towards our chest. And as we exhale, just remembering to lift that pelvic floor, bring the belly button in and up, draw the sides of the waist inward. And allowing the right leg to come down, let's take the left leg in. And we want that leg almost over towards your armpit. Bringing that right leg up to meet the left. Again, holding on to the right leg, this time holding on to the shin. Let's raise that left leg up. Now let's begin to allow it to lower down towards the floor. And as it gets to within an inch or so, you can draw it back up again, and let's switch it over to the other side. So right leg is slowly coming down towards the ground. And then bringing it back in again, raising the left leg up. And switching over to the right leg. And final time with the left leg. And just having both knees bent, allowing the feet to come to the floor. We're going to roll over slowly onto your side and then come up onto your forearms, so your back being straight once again, but you're with both forearms on the ground. That was a very poor description of where you're lying. So you're just propping yourself up with your forearms. And from here, we're going to lift our legs up and just begin to scissors. And so you can have your legs up quite high, or you might want to allow them to come downwards. So the lower your legs come, the more work you're going to have to do with your core to keep it here. If that starts to put strain on your lower back, just bring those legs up a little bit higher. Good. Let's continue this for 2 more breaths. And And bringing those feet back down to the floor, just allowing your back to come down, hugging those knees into the chest. And anytime you need a break as we're on the floor here, just roll in like this, hugging the knees into the chest. Good. And from here, let's just begin to move it a little bit backwards and forwards. So you can feel that nice roll on the spine. And let's allow those feet to come to the floor as we gently come up and then hug the knees into the chest again. And allowing the feet to come out as we rise up and coming down. And rising up and coming down. Good, let's do 2 more. Rising up and coming down and rising up and coming down. Good, hugging those knees into the chest. And let's take that a little bit further and see, can we make our way up to sitting? And from here, rising up and coming down. Good. And up and down and up and down. One more time. Up and down. Good. And now we're going to do it without allowing ourselves to come the whole way down. So making it a little bit more challenging. So we come up and keeping our feet on the floor, we come down and back up. And allow ourselves slowly to come back and up and back and up. Good. Let's do that 3 more times. And up and up. Good. And just hug those knees into the chest. And from here, just coming over onto your side to make your way up to standing. And as we're standing here, having the feet about hip distance, maybe a little bit wider apart, keeping equal weight on both feet. Standing up tall, and we're going to do just some warm-up exercises here. So like chopping wood. So bring your hands together, just clasping them together, raising them up over your head, finding space as you raise those arms up and swinging it down between your legs, bending those knees as the arm goes back between the legs and come all the way up. And swinging it down and up, and let's get a bit of momentum into it. As we're chopping up all the firewood we need for the cold day we had today. And that's it. Let's do 3 more. Good. And coming to rest. Good. And from here, we're going to coming up to the top of the mat. Just bring your toes together, having the heels a little bit apart. So when you look down, your feet are in a straight line on the outside edge of them. And from here, we're going to sit back into a chair. And raising the arms up here. And let's take 2 breaths here. And bring those hands together in prayer. We're going to take a twist to the right. So your left elbow is coming on to your right knee. And 1 more breath. And then let that left hand come down to the floor as you raise the right hand up, turning your gaze towards that right hand. And bringing the hands down. Let's just take that over to the other side. And hands together in prayer. Good, keeping that chest turned towards the side of the mat. Coming back to the center and raising those arms up. Good, one more breath. And standing up tall, good. So we're going to run through a couple of sun salutes. If you know your sun salutes, go at your own pace. If it's new to you, you can stick with me. And it will just give us a nice all over stretch. So raising the arms up, thinking about filling up space in the spine as we allow the arms to come out to the side and we sweep down into a forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to here to get down to the floor with your hands. And then come to a halfway lift. So your spine is nice and straight. And keeping the gaze on the floor in front of you so that your neck is in line with the rest of your spine. Hands down onto the mat into your forward fold. Let's step that right leg back as far back as it can go. Dropping the knee. Open out the foot. Keeping the left knee over the ankle. Rising up into a low lunge. And hands down either side of that foot. We're going to step back into a plank. So in your plank, just making sure you've got a nice straight line from your shoulders to your hips. So I would always prefer to see your hips up a little bit higher than down lower. If they're down lower, you're putting strain on your spine. But ideally, in a straight line from your shoulders to your hips, keeping that gaze on the floor. Let's bring our knees to the floor, open out the feet. Chest down, bum stays in the air, and we'll roll through into a little cobra. So you're keeping your elbows in, keeping that gaze on the floor in front of you, pushing up through a tabletop. Adjust your position if you need to as we curl those toes, pushing the hips back to the heels, lifting the knees up off the floor to come up into our downward dog. If this is your first downward dog of the day, so take it slowly here, keep those knees bent, keep those heels up off the floor and just pedal it out a little bit until you come to stillness. And now we want to get that right foot up to the front here between these right hands. So you've got a choice here. You can come down through tabletop, step that right foot forward, or you can just bring it forward as much as it wants to go and then lift it the rest of the way. Or if you want, you can just step it all the way through. So whatever works for you today, dropping that left knee, open out the foot. Come up into your low lunge. And hands down either side of the foot, stepping that left foot up to meet the right. Bend those knees as you make your way up to the top. Good. And sweeping the arms out, let's come into a forward fold. And halfway lift. Forward fold, stepping that left leg back as far back as it can go, rising up into a low lunge. And hands down either side of the foot to step back into your plank, taking a round of breath here. Have a little micro bend in those elbows. And then allowing the knees, feet, chest, rolling through to a cobra. And push up through your tabletop into your downward dog, finding length in the spine here. And let's get that left leg up to the top of the mat by whatever means works for you today. Dropping the right knee, open out the foot, coming up into your low lunge. And hands down either side of the foot, step the right foot up to meet the left, bend those knees as you come all the way up. Good. Let's take it once more on each side. Forward fold. And halfway lift. And forward fold. Right leg steps back, dropping the knee, open the foot, coming into your low lunge. And hands down either side of the foot to step back into your plank for a breath. And then knees, feet, chest, rolling through to a cobra.
and pushing up through your tabletop into your dog. Bringing that right leg up to the top of the mat, whatever way you wish, dropping that left knee to the floor, open out the foot, rising up into a low lunge. And hands down to step up into your forward fold, bending those knees as we come all the way up, sweeping the arms out to come down into your forward fold again. And a halfway lift. Forward fold, stepping the left leg back, dropping the knee, open the foot out, and rise up. Hands down either side of the foot, step back into your plank. And knees, feet, chest, into a cobra, and up through tabletop, into your downward dog. From here, bringing that left leg through to the front, dropping the right knee, open out the foot, up into your low lunge, and hands down either side to step that right foot up to meet the left and come all the way to the top. Well done. So you should be nice and warmed up now, I hope. And from here, raising those arms up, let's once again sweep down into a forward fold. As we're here, let's just tune into that breath. Inhaling into the belly, exhaling, lifting that pelvic floor, bring that belly button in and up, sides of the waist come in. And let's come into our halfway lift again. Nice neutral spine, keeping that gaze on that floor. Good. As we're here, let's remember on our exhale to lift that pelvic floor, bring the belly button in and up. And coming back down into your forward fold, we're going to step that right leg back, dropping that knee and open out the foot, and come up into a low lunge as before. And bringing both hands down, we're going to come back into our tabletop. And in our tabletop, we want our legs hip distance apart, hips over knees, shoulders over wrists, fingers open nice and wide. Good. And let's stretch our right leg out behind us and step it in front, in between our hands. And we're going to bring our left leg up behind us into a curtsy. And let's come back down into our tabletop. Good, let's try that again. We're gonna stretch out that that right leg, and step it in front of us, and step up into our curtsy. Good, and from here, let's bring our hands down onto the floor and raise that left leg up. And bringing it down into your curtsy and back into your tabletop. Good, let's take that on the other side, stretching that left leg out. Stepping it in front, coming up into your curtsy. Coming back down to your tabletop. Stretching that left leg out. Stepping it in front, coming up into your curtsy. And raising that right leg up. Coming down through the curtsy, back to your tabletop. Good, and from here, let's push those hips back, lift those knees up off the floor and rise all the way up into our downward dog. Finding a place of comfort here as you push your hips back towards the back of the room. It's fine to have your knees bent, your heels up off the floor. This is really about finding that length in the spine. And from here, let's just move it forward into a plank. Can we hold this plank for 5 breaths? Keeping a little micro bend in those elbows, pushing back through the heels. Gaze stays on the mat in front of you. Remembering as you exhale, lift that pelvic floor, bring the belly button in and up. And let's push it all the way back into our downward dog. Good. Finding length in that spine there. Let's take a breath here. Now let's move it forward to our plank once again. And you can stay here, or if you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, you can come down onto your forearms here. Keeping that gaze on the mat in front of you. One more breath. If you're down on your forearms, make your way up to your plank and then push it back into your downward dog. Good, and let's bring those knees to the floor and push back into a hare position. So your arms outstretched, nice length in the spine. And coming up onto all fours. Once again, curling those toes, pushing the heels back, lifting the knees up off the floor to come up into your dog. We're going to bring our right foot up to the front of the mat. So whatever way works for you. But from here, we're going to keep that left leg up, that left knee up off the floor. As we come up into a runner's lunge or a high lunge to start with. So we want this right knee over the ankle. Let's bring the arms out to the sides. And now let's lead with the chest as we begin to come forward and hover in an airplane. Engaging this core here. We want to keep the belly away from the leg, the right leg. We're not resting on it. Keeping that gaze on the mat in front of you. And remembering as you exhale to lift that pelvic floor, bring the belly button in and up. Good, one more breath. And raising the arms up. And again, here, remembering on that exhale, lift the pelvic floor, bring the belly button in and up, bring the sides of the waist inward. And bringing the hands down either side of the foot, let's step back into our plank. Keeping a little micro bend in the elbows. Good. 2 more breaths. And pushing back into your downward dog. And let's take that over to the other side, lifting that right leg. Nope, that left leg up and stepping it through between the hands, keeping the right heel up off the floor, knee over ankle as we come up into our high lunge. Remembering to engage that core on the exhale, bringing the arms out to the side as we come into our airplane, allowing the gaze to come to the floor. So we've got a nice straight spine. We're engaging that core as we exhale. Good, one more breath. And raising the arms up again. Good, one more breath here. And hands down either side of the foot to step back into your plank again. Keeping those micro bends in the elbows. Fingers open nice and wide. And from here, letting the knees come to the floor, pushing the hips back. And let's come into a full child's pose. Clasping those hands behind your back, I'm going to just raise the arms up over our shoulders. If you notice any areas of tightness or tension, think about directing your breath into that area. And allowing the arms to come down by your sides. Let's just move it over to sit upwards. And we're going to just take it into a boat pose here. So again, very much up to you and what you feel like doing. You can keep those knees as bent as you want, but we want to raise the heels, the feet up off the floor and bring the arms out by the side. If this is difficult for you, you can hold on to your thighs here and at any point just allow the feet to come to the floor. If you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, you can begin to straighten those legs out, really engaging that core. Good. 2 more breaths here. And allowing those feet to come to the floor, hug it in here. Good. Let's hold on to the feet here. And again, I always find it easier to walk the heels inward, lifting up onto the seat bones. Let's begin to straighten those legs out if that works for you, or you can keep those knees as bent as you wish, finding your point of balance here, using your core to help you, and remembering as you exhale to lift that pelvic floor, bring the belly button in and up. And slowly letting those feet come to the floor as we make our way over to the other side. So once again, we're on all fours. We're going to come up onto our knees, putting our hands on our hips. We've got our legs about hip distance apart. And we're going to begin to slowly, almost like we're drawing a little arc with our nose. As we come into a little back bend, we're starting to stretch the whole top of our core. If you prefer to keep your chin tucked in here, that's absolutely fine, whatever works for you. Keeping those elbows back so your chest stays nice and open. Breathing is easy. And making your way upright again, let's come onto all fours. Opening the fingers out nice and wide. We're going to do just a couple of cat-cows here. So dropping the belly, tilting that pelvis, opening out the chest and raising the gaze. And then curling through from your tailbone all the way up the spine to the crown of your head. And again, coming into your cow pose. And exhaling. into your cat. Syncing it with the breath as we inhale into the cow and exhale for your cat. One more time. And coming to stillness here, we're going to just bend up that left leg. And if you can reach it with your right hand, great. If you can't, that's no problem. You can keep your right hand or your left hand on the floor and just lift your right leg up. If you can hold it with your left hand, do. Helping to lift it up. Good. Remembering here on that exhale to lift that pelvic floor, bring that belly button in and up, drawing the sides of the waist in. Good. One more breath here. And slowly, with control, bringing it all back onto the floor as we take it over to the other side, bending up that left leg. If you can hold on to it with your right hand, do. If not, just let that left leg come up, lift it up by itself, without your hand. Keeping that gaze on the mat in front of you. So your spine is nice and neutral here, but your core is getting a nice stretch and is having to do quite a bit of work. Good, and allowing that knee to come to the floor. We're going to make our way down onto our belly. And having our hands either side of our chest with those elbows in. So we're going to do a cobra, and a lot of people find it easier to have their elbows out, but for protection of your shoulders, we need you to keep your elbows in. And that gaze is going to stay on the mat as you lift your chest away from the mat. Very light in the hands. So it's really your core that's helping you lift away from the mat. And allow it to come down. Good. On the next inhale, let's inhale and lift it up away from the mat. And exhale it down. And again, inhale, lifting away, and exhaling and bringing it down. You can continue to do that, or if you'd like something a little bit more challenging, you can bend both of those knees, bringing your hands back to hold on to your ankles. And we're going to lift everything up off the floor, chest and legs, keeping that gaze on the mat in front of you, and bring it back down. Good, let's try that again. Inhale, lifting it all up, and exhaling, bringing it down. And one more time as you inhale, lifting it up. Good, and exhale, bringing it down and allowing those legs to come out flat. Bring your arms in front of you for a full stretch. Good, one more breath here. And let's make our way up onto all fours, opening those fingers out nice and wide, curling those toes, pushing the hips back, lifting up the knees to come up into our dog. And you can stay in the dog here, or if you'd like to do just a little bit more before we start to slow down, you can lift that right leg up and bending the knee as we draw it forward into the center. And raise it up and draw it out to the edge, to the outside edge of your right elbow. And draw it up and bring it to the inside of your left elbow. And draw it up. Let's do that once more. Bringing it into the center. And up and to the right elbow. And up and to the left elbow. And up. Good. And if you're in dog, we're now all in dog. We're going to move forward into a plank and just turn your right foot over onto its edge, bringing that right hand into the center. Putting your left foot in the middle here with your knee bent, you're going to raise your arm up, lifting that hip away from the floor. If you'd like something a little bit more challenging, you can put your left foot onto your right foot and lift those hips away from the floor. So we're really using the sides of our core here. One more breath. And let's bring it all the way back into a plank and push it up. Into a dog. Good. Let's take that over to the other side. So you can either stay here in your dog or bring that left leg up, drawing the knee into the center and lifting it up, knee to the outside of the left elbow and lifting it up, knee to the inside of the right elbow. And once again, into the center and up, out to the left and up, over to the right and up, coming back into your dog, finding that length in the spine first and then transitioning into your plank, allowing that right hand, no, I'm taking you onto the wrong side, allow that left hand to come into the center, turning over onto the side of that left foot, either stepping that right foot into the center and lifting your arm up, or bringing it out for a full side plank. One more breath. And allowing the hand to come down as you make your way into a plank, bringing the knees to the floor and pushing back into a child's pose. Two more breaths here. Now let's make our way up and over to bring ourselves onto our backs. And from here, just allowing the legs to come straight up in the air. If you can flex the feet, do so that your soles of your feet are looking straight up at the ceiling. We're just going to stay here for 3 breaths to allow the blood to begin to move in a totally different way. And now let's just begin to cycle out those legs. If you'd like a little bit more core work, if you haven't had enough, you can cycle those legs out quite low to the ground, or if you have had enough, keep the legs pointing up towards the ceiling, up nice and high as you cycle. And whatever way you're cycling, cycle backwards. Go in the opposite direction. And coming to stillness, just hug those knees into the chest. Give your back a little bit of a massage here on the floor. And coming to stillness, allow the feet to drift down onto the floor as we bring in a couple of bridges. So we're going to just tilt our pelvis by rolling back and lifting our hips up towards the ceiling. And then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, making our way back down. Good, and once again, let's lift it up into a bridge and let's hold it here for 3 breaths, thinking about pushing those hips up towards the ceiling. Remembering on that exhale to lift that pelvic floor, bring the belly button in and up. And slowly lowering yourself down onto the floor and allowing those knees to fall over to the left. Bringing both arms out into a T, turning your gaze to the right. And bringing those knees back through center over to the right as you turn your gaze to the left. Back to the center, you can just begin to prepare yourself for your final resting position, Shavasana. As I just remind you that I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will be back here again live on Friday. And we're live here every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 6. We'd love to have you along. If those times don't suit you, all past practices are available to our patrons, and it's really simple to become a patron, and it's only €5 a month, so we would love to have you there. It's great value and it just helps us to keep going with this and providing this service. So I hope to have some of you back here again with me sometime soon. I will bid you namaste for now as I invite you to come to your final resting position here with your legs out straight, palms facing the ceiling. Allowing your body to absorb all of that work that it's just done.
as we begin to really let go. Letting go your toes, the soles of your feet, the tops of your feet. Letting go your ankles and shins. Letting go your calves, the backs of your knees, the fronts of your knees. Letting go the fronts of your thighs, the backs of your thighs, your glutes. Letting go your whole pelvic area and belly. Letting go the small of your back, the back of your rib cage, the front of your rib cage. Letting go your chest and shoulder blades. Letting go your shoulders and upper arms, elbows and forearms, wrists, backs of the hands, palms of the hands, fingers. Just letting it all go. Letting go the back of your head, the crown of your head, your forehead, eyebrows, eyes, cheeks, jaws, chin, lips and tongue. Just let it all go. Allowing the mat to hold you as you draw your attention to your breath, listening to the sound as you breathe in through your nose, into your belly, and out through your nose. And taking time here to be grateful. Grateful to your body, grateful to yourself for doing this practice. And thinking about what else in your life you have to be grateful for today. Listening to that gentle, rhythmic sound of your breath. Allow yourself to drift to your favorite place and enjoy a few moments here.